Okay, folks, thanks for joining us. We had in a special interview with Madam Edith Gongloe-Weh, former superintendent of Nima County. She just returned from the United States of America and back home. So, Madam Edith Gongloe-Weh, I'd like to say good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, George, and I'm glad to be on your platform this afternoon.
And I see you smiling. What is behind your smile?
I'm smiling because the way you were trying to bring all the title, Madam Edith Gongloe-Weh, former superintendent, all that one made me smile.
I'm always excited to be in your company.
That's very good. Same
Okay.
here.
So back in Liberia, uh, after some days, some months in the US, you're back in Liberia. So what can you say?
Well, I'm excited to be back. It's always a beautiful feeling being back in your country. You know how
Okay.
to say there's nowhere like home. I don't care where you are, whether you are in the great United States of America, you're in China, you're in Europe, wherever you are. It's a different feeling when you come home. So it's always good to be home, and I'm glad to be here again.
So how have you been keeping?
I'm good.
Okay.
I got here. When did I arrive? I arrived on the 25th of April,
Okay.
and I celebrated my birthday on the 29th of April in Nimba, of course, my beloved county.
Okay.
Had a great time with my people, and so I'm here in Monrovia. So always, like I say, a pleasure, always a pleasure.
Have you registered, by the way?
Of course, my children were like, "Mama."
So, but let's talk about the politics in Liberia. Just a few months from now, we will be getting into politics, the 2023 general presidential and legislative election. Uh, your brother is contesting, wanting to be president of this country. What do you make of his decision? Do you support him?
100%, 200% even. I support him, not because he's my brother.
Okay.
I support him because he is the character that is fit for this job. He's paid his due to the Liberian society, to the Liberian nation. He's paid his due, and he has the preparedness. If you x-ray all of the candidates in this election, if we weigh all of them, if we look at their track records, if we look in their report card, their public action report card, because it's not your private report card, but your public report card. If you look into that report card, you will see that Councillor Gongloe report card is all nothing but green. 100% passing mark. He's an A student when it comes to public service. And so that's one of the reasons why for me I support him, not because he's my brother. Back then, when I was much, much younger, many, many years ago, I used to tell my brother, I said, the day you want to run for president, me, I will not support you. Because you know what? When you become president, I don't care how much book I know, I will not work in government. And government is the highest employer in Liberia. So I will not support you. I would rather support somebody so that myself can get job. So that my brothers and sisters who are also equally trained can get job. But the place Liberia has reached, I said to myself, my personal feeling and my personal enjoyment or my personal opportunity to work in government cannot, you know, outweigh the interest of Liberia. So because of where the country is, because of the interest of this country, I support Councillor Tiawan Gongloe. Not because he's my brother, because I know he's just the man who is fit for the job.
But there have been saying that Cancer Gonglo is now well known, and especially he just in Nima County they say he's a monrovian Nimarian. What can you say for that?
You expect to hear a lot during elections. So I'm not surprised by that. But when there's problem in Nimba, the first name they call is Tiawan Gongloe. When they have legal problem all over this country, Nimba, without any exception, the first name they call is Tiawan Gongloe. When the Zoe situation happened in, I believe it was 2014 or 2013, where people were rounded up and incarcerated for speaking for their rights, standing up for their rights. When they had situation or problem with their Cllr metal company, and they felt that their just compensation as farmers was not given, and they rose up and striked and blocked the road and did, demanding for their rights to be met. And the government rounded them up, arrested them, incarcerated them. The Nima people didn't know no name, but Tiawan Gongloe, he stood up for them and ensured that justice was given to those aggrieved members and citizens of Nimba. So how can somebody say he's not known? Oh, but in trouble he's known. So I differ with that. Tiawan Gongloe is known over this country. But we expect to hear that in politics. People will try to look for the smallest thing and hang on to it to make you unpopular. It's called propaganda. Lie near truth. They lie, but they make it sound like true. And it's not true.
I guess on your return, you have been able to meet with him and he been talking to you. Have he been able to speak to you about the kind of dealership he dreaming about?
I don't have to even meet with Tiawan Gongloe for me to know the kind of leadership he thinks about. The man is very authentic. When somebody is authentic, somebody who is himself, a real person, they're not, trying to fix something.
Okay.
Somebody who is not trying to fool the people,
Exactly.
lie. They're not Tiawan. The men are straight men. The men are true men, that the authentic human being. He today and he yesterday and he tomorrow is always the same. And so he didn't have to talk to me about the kind of leadership that he wants to bring to Liberia. I already know the kind of leadership because of the character of person he is. There are 3 C's and another person added 4. So we have 4 C's that make up a good leader.
Okay.
You have somebody with great character. Your character counts in leadership. The second C is commitment. You have to have commitment about you. In everything you do, you have to be committed. And the third C is consistency. You have to be consistent in life. You have to be a consistent person in order to be able to provide good public leadership or even private leadership. And the fourth C is charisma. You have to be charismatic. You have to be somebody who can make people move to action. You have to be someone who inspires people. Okay. Leadership is about inspiration. You have to inspire people to work, to take action. And Tiawan Gongloe has all of these C's. He has the character, he has the consistency, he has the commitment, and he has the charisma. There is no human being who crosses Tiawan Gongloe path who leaves unimpressed. And so, for the kind of person he is prepared. Like I said, he's paid his due. Some people today, they want to be advocate for you. Political, I call them the political investors. They invest during election time. When election is coming, that's when they are the philanthropists. They are giving scholarships, they're giving loans to women. And suddenly they become advocates. They're talking for the common people. But advocacy has to be second nature to you. That's something that should be ingrained in you. This is where Cllr Gongloe authenticity comes in. This man, many years ago, maybe when you were a small child, George, Tiawan Gongloe was speaking for Liberian people. At the age of 22, in 1978, when he was a sophomore student at the University of Liberia, he stood up. He spoke truth to power. When he felt that our traditional ally was underestimating Liberia and making Liberia look so insignificant compared to other African countries. When the president of the United States at the time was spending days in other African countries, only opting to spend 1 hour in Liberia that's supposed to be their traditional friend. Tiawan Gongloe was among students of the University of Liberia that demanded that if you come in for 1 hour and then the government at the time declare a whole day out of day, he stood up against that. This is a man who would take any chance with his life for Liberia. And I know, during President Samuel Kanyando's time, He was among student leaders or professors or assistant teachers of the university who was handled by the military regime of Samuel Kanyadu at the time, because they were accused of writing the reactionary newsletters that used to go out calling on students to rise up to action, justifiable action. And so he was arrested again and detained and tortured and left for dead at the city hall when around Single when some people came and lifted his bloody body and took him home. They said you can't go to the hospital because you could be rounded up from the hospital bed and killed. Then fast forward during the child Cllr time, again, this man for speaking for the rights of Liberians, talking for the justice of this country. He was again arrested after he had delivered a speech challenging the Mano River Union countries in 2002, Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone, that this level of human rights abuse, this level of misuse of power has to stop. All of these countries have constitutionally elected presidents. He was not arrested. He was not arrested by Guinean president because he delivered a speech in Guinea, but he was arrested by President Charles Taylor because he spoke against the ills that were being meted against the people of these countries. He was tortured and left for dead. He was to be killed, and the international community rose up and challenged Taylor that you cannot kill him. And I remember somebody saying to me that Taylor has said, I've killed a lot of good people and nothing happened. Who is this Tiawan Gongloe that presidents from around the world are calling me? That Congress is calling me. Who is this Tiawan Gongloe? But you see, when you're authentic, when you do something with clear mind, you are doing it because you believe in it. You are not doing it to get some sort of aggrandizement from it. God has a way of lifting you. And so when I say Tiawan Gongloe has paid his fair due to Liberia, to this nation state, he has, with his life, with his blood. And so this is the time that he's always said, I spent all my youthful years shouting at leaders to do the right thing. You know, when you're a cook and you say you're cooking cook, every time you come, you complain the soup too salty, or the pepper too much, or the one you're not good, the meat not done. Then you said that day, just the advice to say, I'm going to cook my own food today. Tiawan Gongloe been talking for the cooks in this country. Our leaders not doing the right thing. It's okay. I can get there and do what I know is right for this country. And I tell you, Josh, all over Africa, there are two major factors that are keeping Africans and countries on the African continent down. Some countries are breaking out of the shackle of that. And those two major factors, they are one, corruption, two, weak legal system, the lack of rule of law. Our presidents, especially Liberia, they downplay the rule of law. There are some people who don't live under the ambit of our legal system. It's always that you know who I am, at the president's sister, or a minister, or a minister brother. But that's not what makes any society develop. While Liberians are leaving their country and going around the world, we are going to America, we're going to Asia, we're going to Europe, we're all over the place. In those countries, the rule of law is strong. It's paramount to the existence of those societies, and therefore those societies operate smoothly. When a Congress there in America runs the traffic light, they won't go red light yet. When they run the red light,
That's it.
just because the representative or senator, the police will flag them and get them ticket.
Wow.
Oh, you senator, you run a red light, you will get ticket. The same way when janitor run the red light, the same ticket. If that ticket at $175, the janitor will get it $175. The congressman, the senator, or the representative will get the same $175. And then everybody under the ambit of the law.
Yes.
Today, you see America, they are questioning former President Donald Trump. It can't happen yet.
No.
It can't happen. But that's why these countries are developed, because they uphold the rule of law. Everyone is under the rule. The law applies to everybody equally. But in our country, sometimes it's like where a president sister or a president brother or a president daughter, and so they can run the line. No, you know that in first family, it should not be that way. That's what makes Tiawan Gongloe different from all the contestants in this election. That's what make that one of the things that make him different. He's the man who is like the czar. He's the promoter of good governance through upholding the rule of law, making sure that it applies to everybody. Secondly, he's somebody who has fought corruption with his life experience. Have you ever heard any minister, former minister, or president, or anybody travel and say, yeah, the money that leave from the government and bring it back?
No, really.
Tiawan Gongloe is the only man on record to have done that. During the heydays of the war, where all your brother and sister, mom, pa, everybody was across the child still line, suffering within the bushes looking for food to eat. This Tiawan Gongloe traveled on government tour for 20 days. He spent 10 days. He came back, he said the 2005 belongs to the government. I went for 20 days. I spent 10 days, so half of the money, he had the receipts. This one year, he carried to finance ministry. The minister said, what are you doing? That he partner for you? He said, no, this is government's money. It was given for a specific duty. I performed that duty, and what I used, this is the balance. He didn't say the way my mind about suffering in Greater Liberia at the time, required Greater Liberia. Let me send them money to them. Of course, I would have loved to get some because we used to be living on leave. We can't even find food to eat. That mushroom we were eating. I remember I was pregnant with my daughter at the time. And I literally live on mushroom because mushroom has huge protein source. So in order for my child to be healthy, I was living on mushroom. This man who have said my people are suffering and sending the money, he said, no, it's for the government of Liberia. This is the kind of man, my people, if we fight corruption in this country and we uphold the rule of law, there will be so much money to take care of the social services needs of our country. Governments are instituted to ensure that they meet the educational, health, infrastructural, security needs of the nation. That's what guarantees our sovereignty. A sovereign nation that cannot care for its people is challenged, is in trouble. This is why Liberia is in trouble today. But Tiawan Gongloe is here to fix that problem. Because when he's here, he has two major pillars for the smooth movement of this government and of this country to move this country forward is to fight corruption and to strengthen our rule of law and strengthen the justice system so that police will be respected and they will operate respectfully. You see, when these things happen, Liberia is such an easy country to develop. I bet you within 5 years, Liberia will be the country that it was meant to be. A sweet land of liberty for all. And believe me or not, this will be the new America, the new Europe, the new Asia, and the rest of Africa. Liberia was meant to teach other Africans freedom, other Africans governance. We who were meant to be the teachers today, we are down because we've always elected, especially in recent years, in our recent history, we've elected our non-leaders. We've elected our inferiors because the bold, brave, and prepared ones have always been afraid to participate in the public space. They find comfort in their privacy and you say, well, me, I like politics, but political decisions affect our lives. Look where we are today. Look how our children, look how our country has been turned to a country of drug smugglers. Our security today is no longer assured. People's life have got no value in this country any longer. Even chicken has no value. If you kill somebody's chicken, they can take you to court and you will pay for it. You kill somebody's child, they can go to court and have no justice. Where are we? But we need that justice back on. Somebody who, when they are president, you will have no more demonstration because they fund day by day. You will have no mob action because the justice system has failed the people, and therefore you have these mob actions. People taking justice in their own hand. We want to make Liberia operate again as a country. We want to make this like President Topper, the late President Topper, peace be to his ashes, used to say that we must have a wholesome functioning society. But you cannot have a wholesome functioning society in the absence of rule of law, in the absence of fighting corruption.
Okay, so folks, we are here in the special interview with Madam Edith Gongloe-Weh, who happened to be the sister of Councillor Tiawan Gongloe, presidential aspirant. Madam Gongloe,
Oh, sorry, I know my face sweating like hell, but
yeah,
that's the
somebody
truth.
saying they are greeting you from Kigali, Rwanda, calling you Iron Lady.
Thank you.
So let's go to Nema County, your home county.
My pepper bush.
Yeah, your Pepper, how you call it. Two sons of Nema County. Senator Prince Johnson, people refer to him as a godfather Nema, and Senator Jeremiah Kuhn as well. Uh, Both of them are now joining Joseph Yiman Boakai. Jeremiah Kuhn is now the running mate of Joseph Yiman Boakai, former vice president. And is Councillor Tiawan Gongloe worried about that decision?
No, he's not. He's not. You know, look, when God ready to do some things, sometimes the ordinary person will never understand.
Okay.
Some things are divine. The sheep must be separated from the goats.
What do you mean?
What do I mean by that? Ambassador Joseph Yuma Boakai is on record by telling Liberians around the world that his vice presidential pick will mirror who he is.
Of course.
It will show his character and where he wants to carry Liberia. When people, his partisans used to ask him, excuse me, when his partisans used to ask him, so who are you taking for your vice president? He said, you're Jawid. I will make sure I take somebody who thinks like me, who values the political space and the Liberian people like me, whose character is like my character.
That's what he said.
So he said that. Now, fast forward, he picks Senator Prince Johnson, whose character is a global knowledge. When you pick a leader of the MDR, why people don't realize when you canceling their call,
You can just put it on silent.
Sorry, that new phone, I don't know how to operate that. So when you pick Jeremiah Kuhn, whose public record is nothing to run home with, check your social media. In fact, Google Jeremiah Kuhn right now. It's a homework I'm giving you.
Okay.
Three things, many things will come up. Several things will come up. One of the things that will come up will be the Central report that labeled him as one of the corruption czar in the House of Legislature, in the House of Representatives, excuse me. One of those on the Ways and Means Committee who has hijacked the development of this country, the health sector, the infrastructure sector, the health infrastructure, the educational infrastructure, the agricultural infrastructure. One of those who has hijacked it by being on the Ways and Means Committee, where ministries have to pay bribery to even get the budget approved. He is one of those who takes ownership for our poor development in this country, especially in recent years after Madame Cllr and even during portion of Madame Cllr's time. Then you have Senator Prince Johnson on record. Again, I told you Google, right? On record. He had a press conference in 2020 and he chastised the very Jeremiah Kuhn. And he said in his voice, and I quote, I don't like greedy people. If y'all don't know me, y'all get to know me. I'm a straightforward human being. I like straight people. Just because they may corrupt, he's stealing the Liberian people money. Because he and Thomas Faladen, they the one got our hospitals now operating now. They're stealing our money. He got ways and means money. So he said that then now with that corruption money he want to bring, he say he want to be senator in my county and I know about it. We just voted you yesterday as representative. I'm quoting Senator Johnson.
I know that.
These are not my words. Senator Johnson's words. He said, I don't let greedy people. Excuse me for the French. You too damn greedy.
That's what he said.
When you want to be senator for wedding, you not do the representative job. Then he went on to endorse him later on. Of course, you know, things may have changed hands as usual. He served as senator for 1 year. Second year, he won't be president. It's the same greediness based on the corruption money. You know, because money can turn people here, especially the one you get correctly. So I'm saying this to say that Ambassador Joseph Newman Boakai say he will take somebody who is his character. We know Ambassador Boakai's character now because we know Jeremiah Oku's public character. At the legislature, you had staffers chanting, rogue Thomas Fala, rogue Jeremiah Oku, because they stole the staffers' money and their benefits. All of these are public information. Central record is there, public information. Legislative staff for money, public information. Senator Johnson's classification of him as a criminal, as a rogue who's stealing Liberian people money, public information. There's not Edith Gongloe information. I've not added my own. My own experience with him with the election, I've not even added that. But this public information, Ambassador Boakai said he look at all of the information, he said that the person that looked at him. That value, the value that he believed in, because he said the person will take out his value. So now, for me, Edith Gongloe-Weh, I know Ambassador Boakai's value. Should we be worried? We're not worried. Because, like I said from the onset, the sheep must be separated from the goats to save this nation. Liberia has suffered too much. This is God's way of showing us who really stand for Liberia. Because if Ambassador Boakai stood for Liberia, he would not have made the choice he made. But it's good that he made that choice. God made him to make the choice so that we will know who he is and where he wants to take Liberia. Fast forward, I'm coming again to why we are not worried. And Tiawan Gongloe is not the least worried.
Okay.
In this election, we are glad he made that selection. Because you know what? Nimba County is a proud, resilient county. It's a traditional county. The Nimba people say, look, our culture, our nephews, we let our nephews and nieces, but we cannot get a hair of the house to our nephews and nieces. Jeremiah Oku is from the southeast, from Grand Crew to be specific. And he doesn't mince his words on that. He has told us repeatedly that I'm a nephew to the people of Nimba from Grand Crew. My uncle and auntie there gave me this job as representative. They've been nice to me. Mm-hmm. So we tell Ambassador Boakai, thank you that you took our nephew. Because by you taking our nephew, whose character is like your character, you gave room for the actual Nimbayan, for Nimba people to stand up and rally around their home. All of what I'm telling you are not my words. Senator Poon was on Spoon TV. He said, a nephew are from Grand Crew. Correct. Senator Johnson was on national and international wire. He said, this is our nephew, your good man. They themselves have defined their relationship to Nimba. It's not my definition. So I want the haters to listen well. So they can say, Madam Gongloe said the man not from Nimba. He himself is on record for saying he's not from Nimba, he's a nephew, and uncles and aunties have been kind to him. But the buck stops here. It's not about Nimba. This is about the nation called Liberia. We need credible people. You know, I will say this. Every time Liberians get tired with the leadership in power right now, they end up making mistakes. Because it's always like, we're tired with this person, we want this person. It should not be about being tired with the person. You are tired with the system, the policies of that government. Therefore, a replacement should be something that is drastically different from who you're trying to replace and the system that you're trying to replace, the policies that you're trying to replace. So if we say we're tired with the corruption under George Weah, we're tired with the insecurity and the killing of people under George Weah, then of course you cannot replace that system that you tire with somebody who is equally or more accused of the same crime that you're trying to replace. Corruption, he passes it. Insecurity and criminal activities, he passes it. And Ome Baka look at that, he accepts it. Birds of the same feather flock together. George, when you reach in a town, when a rope enters a town, me, I'm a village woman, I grew up in the interior.
Okay.
When anybody who can steal enter the town, another person in that town that can steal, give it 2 days. The way two of them will find each other and become friends, nobody will know. Those two people will just be close because the rogue knows how to find their friend rogue. When witchcraft reaching the town, the person that is accused of witchcraft in that town, two of them in no time they can just click. Because in my own definition, human science is different from natural science. Natural science is like repels and opposite attracts, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you get positive pole and negative pole, the lay science I learned way back in high school, I don't even know if I'm saying it right. But the negative pole and the positive pole, and they can attract, there will be some friction there.
Mm-hmm.
But positive and positive, easy does it. It can be fun. You throw positive pole and positive pole together, no reaction. It's smooth, it can just connect. Right? No friction. So that the human science, the thing when the same blow like the same, they can come together fine. So the criminals will always align with criminals. Liars will always be attracted to liars. Rogues will always be attracted to rogues. Good people will always be attracted to good people. Because they say, show me your friend, let me tell you who you are. I know I took long to explain why we're not scared. We're happy.
Oh, yes.
Because now, by this election, people have defined themselves. The camps have self-defined. We didn't define them, they define themselves. Now we know what Unity Party stands for. There's no if and anybody. And you know what? Some Unity Party people will come on their posts. Oh, you know, opposition posts, oh, this will unite. No.
Yes, somebody already saying that.
Yeah, it's opposite. I knew they would come.
Yeah,
Oppositions will unite, and that's what tear each other apart. I don't belong in that school of thought. I don't belong to it. Just because I think George Weah is not doing well for their country, I will not fly from the frying pan to the fire.
Wrong.
When I see the fire, I will run from the frying pan and the fire and pour water there. Because the water will cool the temperature. In this case, the LPP candidate is the water that will cool the frying pan and the fire. I'm jumping in that fire with you. So there's no opposition unity on criminality. There's no opposition unity on corruption. No opposition unity on lack of rule of law. I don't want my people dying here. We don't want to create another Idi Amin in West Africa. I'm afraid. You know what? Power is the most potent force on earth. It's the most potent force to be held by the human race. When it's placed in the wrong hands, it can be wrongly used. So I'm always careful with placing power in the hands of people. You cannot place this power in the wrong hands. The right hands, Tiawan Gongloe-Weh, Liberian People Party, the Broom Revolution, the poor man lawyer, the one whose character precedes him. That's the man.
But you and Ambassador Joseph Boakai work in the senior administration during the regime of former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. How well you know?
I know you saw that comment, but where the hell your question?
How well you know Ambassador Boakai?
No, I don't know him.
You don't know him by character?
I know Ambassador Boakai was vice president for 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
I know that much. Fine. I know he's from Lofa, he's kissy. I know he loves to smile. Yeah, I know all that. That good stuff, right?
Okay.
He smiles. He's a go-lucky guy. You know, I know the woman at that level.
But not carried
As far as his character, I don't know him.
But don't you think a decision?
But because he said when he picked his vice president, then Edith Gongloe-Weh will know him, so I know him now.
Okay. Yes. But don't you think the decision on Ambassador Boakai to choose Jeremiah Kun alongside Senator Prince Johnson with Diva Nima?
Amen. Nima poor smart. You don't want to associate with bad thing all the time. So 2020, you know, I love Omen Boakai. A good way you show yourself. 2020, I was in a senatorial race. And the CDC, they confessing now, I was when they get coming again, impact me. Madam Saro, we cheated you for that man. The CDC was in total, complete, absolute political marriage with the MDR. Senator Johnson wore his beret with his military attire to campaign for Jeremiah Kun throughout Nimba. The CDC funded. Edith Gongloe-Weh, they even have $100,000. They gave the man, now they are telling me they gave him $750,000 United States dollars to go against me.
Too much money.
We are told, you know the case we had to the Supreme Court. There were all kinds of executive interferences. But those are just rumors. The one where I know that the marriage between CDC and MDR. Then the CDC, my own friend, my former friend, we used to be friends, we're not friends again. Natana Magio went to Nima to campaign for Jeremiah Kun. I was not there. I even heard that the president went to live his hair off. Oh, this folk campaign. CDC and MDR, one and inseparable. And God said when you join two things, they become one. The two people were joined, they were one. That year 2020, 2021, 2022, they all were one. 2023, Ambassador Parker said he will dance with the devil to be president. Really? Liberian people, I'm not sure we're ready to dance with the devil to take our own graves. But I'm not here to talk about Ambassador Parker. I'm not here to talk about UPP. I'm here to talk about Tiawan Gongloe and his preparedness to take this country from the dungeon to the level where it will be respected among the community of nations. It will be respected in this sub-region because that's what Liberia was meant to be a beacon of hope for all of Africa, to be a fine example for all of Africa. Today we become a collective shame and guilt, and the rest of Africa is now worried that the one that was to serve as a beacon of hope today is lagging behind everyone. We want that trajectory to be changed. And who can change it? Someone who has the record, the preparedness, and the history. We don't want any fly-by-night advocates. No fly-by-night, you know, we got to build Liberia. You know, the country, we need to increase the economy of this country. We need to improve the economy of this country. You can bring billions in a lawless society that free. It will do nothing. You can put 10 billion in Liberia now, 2 years later Liberia, if you don't change the system, if you don't respect and you don't enforce the rule of law and fight corruption and ensure that there's impunity. I mean, there's impunity for bad behavior. If you don't fight impunity to make sure there's accountability for the evil that people do, the economic policies will fall flat. So I've heard some camps say, you know what Liberia needs that to improve the economy of the country? No. What Liberia needs, the two things, that to fight corruption, to strengthen the rule of law, so that when small money here, it will be wisely used. We want value for money. And that's why Tiawan Gongloe stands apart from all the other candidates, because he's speaking to the core issues that has kept us down and underdeveloped throughout the history of this country. And that's why every Liberian, I challenge everyone who's watching me right now. We need to make our own presidents and hold them accountable, become the commodity that they will sell to get their money. You know, there's no business without profit, George.
Of course, definitely.
Every businessman or woman does business. When they invest, they want to get dividends for their money. They want to get $15 profit. all together $20, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we allow business people to become politicians overnight and can't do business with the lives of our children. Pregnant women are dying left and right because they have commercialized politics. Therefore, the lives of our people have become the sorrowful commodity that they're selling to get their money back. So our hospitals are bare. They're just frames. They're not hospitals. They're buildings. Our professions of different professions, nurses, teachers, all that, they're being disrespected.
Of course.
Nurses are not getting paid. Their children are out of school. Teachers are not getting paid because the money that should pay them are in individual pockets because the businessmen invested before and they're reaping their profit. We need to stop that. So I'm calling on everybody who's watching this video. Put your money to where your mouth is. Come with the $100 Liberian. Let's have $100 rally. People do it all over the world. Wealthy people don't use their money in America and other places to become presidents, representatives, senators, city mayors. No, they don't. Nothing is sold to their people that their policies. These are my plans. When the people love the policy, then they put money behind them. Donald Trump with all his billions, they use his own money. He used his Make America Great Again agenda. And the people who believed in it funded his campaign in the millions. Barack Obama was the poorest guy among all the contestants during his time. But his policies and his vision for America, for uniting the country and making that country what it ought to be or what it was established to be, a leader of the free world. People who believed in Obama, the young people, they raised the money. Barack raised hundreds of millions. And from a poor, wretched community organizer, he became president because the citizens of America believed in his policy. Tiawan Gongloe today has the strongest message and its best message among his contemporaries, among competing partners. It is time for us to put our money to where our mouths is. It is time for us to put our money to where our lives matter. The lives of Liberian children matter. The lives of our pregnant women matter. The lives of our elders who are dying because they don't have access to medical treatment. You know, when you get old, just the old car, the older your car gets, every week it in garage. So human being, when we're getting old, then you need more medical attention, right? Our old people don't have that in this country. In other countries, from age 65 and up, you get something in America that requires social security. That's why you invest when you're young. When you're old, then it takes care of you. Tiawan Gongloe policy is to institute that in Liberia. Some naysayers and small-minded people say, the man talking too much, he promising too much. Where the money in Liberia to get it? This country is one of the richest countries on planet Earth. And so well situated to become better than even America. Why? Because we got all the natural resources in abundance. We have small population. It takes good leader that those resources will be exploited and the benefits will be realized in the country. Others have done it. I'll tell you one quick story, George. I know you're about to come in. But you see, the small country called Botswana, before it gained its independence from, I think, the British and Empire, it was a poor, wretched country. You know, when they gained their independence, one of the colonial leaders said, and describing Botswana, he said, this is a useless piece of land. Where will they go? What can it be? They will die in poverty. But the president at independence was a guy who had a vision for his people. But like Tiawan Gongloe, he was also strict. He was an anti-corruption czar. He respected the rule of law. He respected the interests of his people above his own interests. So he instituted measures. He started to strengthen their legal system, their educational infrastructure, and everything. He said, we need to strengthen and promote the minds of our people. Once we strengthen them and train them, then whatever we have can be used for the benefit of all. Guess what? Botswana discovered diamond, landlocked country. We get plenty. We got diamond. Iron here, we got uranium. Thing that can be used to manufacture cell phone and all these different gadgets. We got iron ore in abundance, yet the price of steel in this country is so high because our leaders before have never been so, well situated and visionary to the extent where our natural resources would benefit us. We have natural resources that has become natural curse, a natural curse on our people. Today, Botswana, small country jealous us, population little, from less than 100 million budget, today its national budget is in billions. Their GDP way above. I read a book, and that book, is called The Shackled Continent. The Shackled Continent is a former BBC reporter that wrote that book. Liberia name is inside too. And he mentioned Botswana in that book. He said, but Botswana is a small country. If African leaders can copy from Botswana, and if we can have 10 Botswanas in Africa, then Africa is on its way to self-redemption. We have to get away from this thing where we are always looking for Messiah to save us. George, change is always internal. Change can never be external. We always hear Liberian people say, we're called the international community. We are the international community. If we don't make the right decisions, no matter what America does, they cannot change anything here. And it takes education, it takes awareness, it takes the message, the knowledge, because the Bible says for lack of knowledge, my people perish.
Sure, true.
I'm giving you the knowledge today. Let's stand for what is true. Let's stand for what is right. Let's stand for justice. Let's fight corruption so that the raping of our young children can come to an end, because we have a leader who is both an economist and a lawyer, a prosecutor, a justice defender. How good can it get? Liberia, we have somebody that God has sent finally to rescue us and stop the bleeding of this country. The choice is yours. The decision is yours. All you need to do, register. Your vote is your power, is your voice.
Oh, definitely.
No money should buy it, because that vote is not just for you. It's for your children, for your grandchildren. When a strong, firm justice foundation is laid in Liberia, the superstructure, just like when you're building a house, if you don't have a strong foundation, I don't care what kind of good design will crumble.
Definitely.
Our foundation is weak. We have somebody who wants to deconstruct the weak foundation of Liberia. Deconstruction are big English, to tear it down and start a new one. We need to tear down the corruption wall. We need to tear down the poor legal system. We need to strengthen the judicial system. We need to build a stronger justice foundation for Liberia. When that is done, Liberia is on its way to liberation. And so, to end, the freedom train is on. We have freedom number one. The freedom one is Tiawan Gongloe. The freedom train is here. We hop on, we increase the passengers on this train. We, the Liberians, are the passengers. Let's get on this train so our destination can be one that guarantees our safety, that guarantees national security, it guarantees our economic well-being, socio-economic well-being.
Monrovia is not Liberia. Nimakande is not Liberia. How well Councillor Gongloe present is being felt in other countries?
So that's what we're doing now.
Okay.
My dear, somebody can come today and they can change the tide. What is important is who is the messenger and what's the message. Councillor Gongloe's message is clear. Okay. The messenger is good. You and I can now take our bullhorn to promote the message, and that's what we're doing here. People say Councillor Gongloe is not nobody. The person who said that, and that's some of the knowledge here. We're giving the knowledge. We're talking about who he is. I think I started off by giving a history of what he's done,
Of course.
both in the public and private spaces. The man is on record the first ever sitting minister of government, like no ministerial position, some people can go to medicine men to get it. And you know, some people can sacrifice human being to get minister position.
Definitely.
That position, the man was minister of labor. And he says, because of policy differences, I'm not an employer, I'm a transformer. I want to transform. I don't just want to work. So when I don't agree with these policies, I'm leaving government. How many you have? So true to his nature, he's a transformative leader. Let's take that message now and go tell our people in the different countries. Since we feel he's not known, how can he get known? The thing you know about him now, go talk it. The messenger now. Go talk it. Spread this thing here. Share it. So we're talking it. I will talk it on local radio. I will start talking something dialect. Also in Basso, so I can speak Basso. I will post in Basso. Then I'll go in man on one year there. Then I'm going to say a good dog baby. So, come on, you know, a bank here, get a best dog get. Kake si kwa ge mino eloko data ka mi lero ko to abi mi esele mi le ko to obi akekle sire kwa kekle be sire o mo boye me pele ko mi ndo lo ja gekle kwa boko sire yi I mean I can care less because you know what some of can say well we sitting now in America boy America la ma home ama ma home when push come to shove you see American men, by the time I start talking, they hear my accent, they say, where are you from? I can be faking a series, they say, where are you from? I'm forced to say I'm from Liberia. Because they know I'm not from there. That's why I am passionate about fixing my Liberia that identifies me wherever I am. If I go to Ghana, by the time I open my mouth, they say, hey, Liberia woman. My identity is not hidden. So we are calling on all of us. This is the one place that we have. Josh, the challenge is yours. Spread the message. Share it. Be an ambassador. Jump on the train. There's more spaces for us. This is the freedom train. It's time to free Liberia from the shackle of degradation. We need to break the political cartel, especially in my native country, Nima country. I went there, we will break and shatter this political cartel. It's time to break loose the stranglehold on the necks of our people. Nimba must breathe. Liberia must breathe. And the breathing, the air is prepared, is fresh. Thank you.
Okay, so you could just close up your party comment.
I think I have.
Maybe you can do that in dialect. Just.
When I go give I won't speak my pastor.
Okay, speak the pastor. No problem.
But let me try the little one that I know.
Okay.
Now I will speak my small you.
Okay.
I don't want to mess things up. I think I'm gonna leave it because when I'm talking, I won't mess things up. Because we had a good
just go ahead.
Let me just tell our people that Budonaka Jenny Chenko, Nyomara Tiawan Gongloe-Weh, Omo get Ogaga, Omo get Budonaka J, or Nahadli. Cha, Kia Mombe, okay, there, Baba, Nina, Budonaka. I hope my boss will try.
It's okay.
So, Nima can't tell me a career more. Ma, ge, bra, bon, me, career more. Sreke a wabi no. Oh, Srebe Mbo Kai Bolan on Nali. Near one no, never. In nay waba to waba to waba go waba to gawaba. Me win. Srekele wura abomo boile le tosiri ka peno fefele kuna ke sre dolezi. Ke diesi pe wazi, diesi pe wura atakwati a diesi pe nduno ni makante mi. Sreke dodu abo. Libia dodu abo. Gonna don't tamo, Tiawan there, Aggie, Japa Boka Levin, Bubo Boze, Baka le Bagam, go bay, Pelon Fish on my basset, say that wablita, Galebo Palmi, Sepa, phone their white. Dear Ramoka, Cotier, ye pelly white, Toba Ramabi. Mina no about time quickly a dollar minister. Capel when you say singing, the doctor wants to go. Nella calle, the lens Zeka, the Namuna Seka, then answer a dogam. Damn, what's saying you are coming? Quabe, what come coming? What drama, what luaka sreke, Cassre a good yig. I get like a nima can't tell you. Why the one at Gamon like that, like that, get a sreka good nima can't. Me trouble 1 year more, let's say, I top of 1 year more. Kawele mo nima can't. Kawule kato. Gripe, you say, make of all what time nima no me, Kawule pato. Mone kept ya nima. Kwabule kwato wa de grede ewe ba bude ewe ba ni ma kwabule kwato roko ya buwa we ba ken ne ewe ba sire ye kwabule kwato sere ewe ba sire ye kwabule kwato kan ewe ba sire ye kwabule kwato mi me ele wa se ba sire ye kwabule kwato kwato ke ka bo won yi mo ke laibia ekuta mo kwato a de laibia ke de ku ye ni anto mo ku ye ni ma me no wa ku ye le ke mo na mo ke ka le yo thank you so much for having me on your platform.
Okay, that was the voice of Nima County Iron Lady, as she be referred to. Madam Edith Gongloe-Weh speaking on national issues as regards to the ambition of Councillor Tiawan Gongloe to be president of Liberia. Thanks so much. The name is George Cooper, and thanks for watching.